continuing on our nice general introduction to the entire course, we've got a list of tax forms. Now, the list of tax forms that are referenced on the exam is much more in depth than what you see here. There's a lot more. Why do I provide this? Do you need to have the face of all of these memorized? Meaning, do you need to have the form memorized? No. However, would it be helpful? I would say so. And it's not like I want you to sit there and just stare at a form and be able to say, I know on line 15 that has this deduction. No, that would be a little crazy. What I recommend you do is what I did when I was studying is as you're going through a question, let's say you're going through the itemized deductions, and we've got a whole lesson on that. I would, once you find an itemized deduction, look for where it would go on the Schedule A. That's going to do a couple things for you. One, that is going to help you, it makes it real. It's not just some amount or it's not just some item that you're just like, oh, I have to memorize that. No, you can visualize where it goes on the tax form. And also another thing is all of these tax forms are pretty much, or most of them, the ones that are actual tax calculation forms, they're essentially long formulas, right? They help you to determine what your tax liability is. So by plugging in, and every time you see an item in a question, and then you look for it, whether you have them printed out or you look in our resources we've got provided for you, however you want it, you have it on another screen. As long as you've got that tax form out, I highly advise you to look where the item belongs. Now, some items might be in a miscellaneous category and it wouldn't specifically call it out, but I will talk about it. And if it's something that's so obscure that I don't talk about it, maybe you don't have to know it, but you can also Google it. So again, I kind of recommend, this is something I very much benefited from. We're just going to run through these briefly. So the 1040, this is just the normal individual income tax form. We've got above the line and below the line items, and that's going to be something we'll see in a later lesson. Now that actually refers to the physical line on the tax form. And as such, you're going to want to look at the tax form to understand what items go above and below the line. It's going to be very helpful. We got schedules 1, 2, and 3. These are items that flow into the 1040. Another thing is, when it comes to these schedules, they've got a line on the 1040 where, say, all the items on schedule 1, they go and you add them all up. They're at the bottom. You get a final number. That final number then goes somewhere on the 1040. So I would be familiar generally where those transitions happen, where the tax forms feed into each other. Itemized deductions, this one's going to be very important. Schedule B, more as a conceptual, you don't have to really look at that one. Schedule C, this one's going to be very important, dealing with, this is essentially a business tax return, but for individuals who have sole proprietorships. Schedule D, this deals with capital gains and losses. Schedule E, this is going to deal with itemized deductions for more so passive income. Schedule F, farm income, this is essentially a clone of Schedule C. It's quite similar, it's just more so for farm. If anyone was not aware, the United States is a very agricultural-based economy as well as being service-based, and essentially because we've been such a farming-based economy since the country was born, there are a lot of special laws, regulations, tax benefits built into farming. For Schedule K and K1, these are items we're going to see when it comes to flow-through entities such as S corps and partnerships. Right, we're going to see these items. They essentially break out all of the items that will go to the partners or the shareholders, and then the partners or shareholders are going to get your Schedule K1. Now, these are going to get a little bit less important. 1041, this is what you're going to see for estates and trusts. Yeah, maybe memorize that one a little bit. The 1065, this will, again, like, will you see a question that asks you, what's the tax form that you file for a partnership? Likely not. However, this is just going to be pretty helpful all around. It's good general knowledge, and I wouldn't just be trying to give you extra knowledge for the sake of it. I want to have a clean, lean study machine here. So if I'm saying, yeah, this is probably important to know, I would definitely know that. It's going to help you. The 1099 dividend or interest, these are the forms that you could see as exhibits. This is another reason why I'm giving them to you, especially with Sims. When we have many exhibits, those exhibits can be taking the form of tax forms. So understanding how they all work and how they come together, that's going to be important. You could be preparing a 1040 in the sim. The situation says you're a tax preparer, prepare this person's individual tax return, and the div, the interest forms, these are going to flow through and you're going to have to report these items on the 1040. So that's where that comes into play. 1120, this is going to be the tax return form for corporations, 1120S for S corps. The W-2, if I'd say 99% of you likely are you're going to receive this. This is what you receive after the end of the year to report on your own 1040 to report your wages from your job. And then the W-4, this is what you this is what you fill out generally when you start your job or at the beginning of every year to determine the amount of income tax withheld from your paycheck. So some of these more important than others. I mean, there's many more forms that I didn't include here because that just would not be a good use of your time. However, as mentioned, it's going to be in your best interest to get familiar with these. Again, I don't want you to just immediately right now drop everything and start memorizing the forms. However, as you see mentions of them in multiple choice questions and lectures and sims, I want you to be able to pull up the form, again, whether that's in print or on another screen or pulling them up through our resources. And I want you to look where each item goes. Where do wages go in the 1040? Right? Where do the below the line deductions start? Where do specific credits go? Where's the line that calculates how much tax is owed? Where does the dividends received deduction go for our corporations? Lots of stuff. And if you're not familiar with any of those things no worries. We are just getting started.
Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.